in a language that a lot of my viewers can understand. When you hear the president say tough decisions, tough times, but it's just going to be momentary. We're turning the curve according to the president and the presidency and the federal government and the APC. Now, better days are ahead and we're already experiencing it. How do you sum up or how do you assess that kind of statement vis-a-vis what we are experiencing 2 years ago and now?
Well, no, nothing will make me happier than for those things to be true. I'd love for that to be our situation. But all the numbers that I see suggest to me that we are perhaps counting our chicks before they are laid. The truth of the matter is that the reality, and this is not my number, the reality is that we have chronic poverty in 75% of Nigerians who live in rural areas. And let's not confuse things. A majority of our population still lives in rural areas in spite of push urbanization. You must have seen the statistic only a few days ago that perhaps 9 Nigerians die every hour from malaria or something like that. Showing what it costs to take care of malaria is a $10 drug administration. If we are losing those many people because they don't have $10 to stay alive, it gives you a better sense of the reality of the Nigerian condition. And then, by the way, the measure that I know of in all democracies of how well things are going is job creation. If you don't have more jobs being created, all talk about progress is really high. And in these days of government by propaganda, you've got to look at statistics when they're thrown at you. Because like Americans say, there are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. But I want to believe what I'm hearing. I just need to see some evidence that is the truth. And I don't see any sort of evidence. The evidence that I see is that things are actually getting worse. And I understand politics and propaganda, but I think that the sooner we can get together as citizens, statesmen from the same country in the quiet of some room and speak truth to each other and use it to work, the easier it will be for us to save our country.
But Prof,
our country does need saving.
Prof, let's look at, you're talking about the numbers. The statistics and the data available shows that there is a rise in revenue. 14.9 trillion revenue was collected. Prof, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
There is a rise.
I hear you. Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, there is a 49% increase from the amount collected in 2024. That's about 14.9 trillion collected by the FRS in the first 6 months of the year.
Thank you, Shehu.
A rise,
the wrong statistic. Rise in revenue is killing the economy. Did you not understand that? Ask any trader today to ask you how much they can bring through the ports. The desperation for a rise in revenue means that every container is being surcharged, I don't know whether it's 18 million or 80 million or some number of that nature. Many pharmaceuticals, I just talked about malaria and how people are dying from it. Many pharmaceutical importers have very thin margins on their anti-malarials and all of that. Come through the ports in this desperation for revenue and they get hit with tax on each container. It means that they can't import a new set of containers of anti-malarials. It means that whereas government's revenues are going up and they are going to politicians to squander, the Nigerian people have no possibilities of a better life. This revenue thing needs to be put in context and understood. To use revenue as evidence of progress is not to understand economics.
But Prof, you look at a lot of indices, the inflation figures, food inflation, which contributed a huge percentage to the headline inflation. Things were really bad from 2023 when this government came into power. The inflation rate increased to about, it went as high as 30-something%, about 33%, but it has continued to ease and started dropping. We rebased and we saw a bit of a drop in those figures. And that's what they will tell us, that transportation costs has dropped, food prices have come down, building materials like cement and the rest have also come down, prices of fuel is also come down. And in fact, this government will say things are easing, and the fact that the arbitrary or the unrealistic comparison of the dollar to the naira is stable. The naira is stable against the dollar. And this is showing that we are on a positive path. As an economist, how do you assess this trend that we've seen recently?
Sheung, if you are in hell and they move you to purgatory, have you been saved from damnation? Look, 30-something% inflation does not even begin to make you, I mean, what do you think? 30-something% inflation? China is too big. If you come from 30-something to 20-something, yes, it's some movement, but how does that mean that your life has improved significantly? That's the reality of the matter. It had nowhere else to go but down. Of course, it can get wild like it got in Latin America in the early 80s. Surely it can go to 100 and something%. But where does 20-something% inflation get celebrated? Yes, of course, it is progress from 30-something%, but it hasn't assured me that my income is not being wiped out. I have given a very important example, taking the so-called Band A tariffs. And I've said, look, take a university professor. The government of Nigeria pays professors in federal universities no more than 500,000 naira a month. I assure you that they will get, if they really use light at all, they will get to spend 75,000 naira to 80,000 naira a week for a percentage of consumption of light. Now, if a whole university professor spends almost all of his income just to get a portion of light, how does he eat? How does he transport himself? How does he pay school fees for his children? And if that excites you, well, thank God for you, but it doesn't excite me. You know, the real problem is that we have thrown away the fact that economics is a science of incentives. The incentive system is so warped now. A PA to some politician gets 10 times what a university professor gets to play with. National Assembly people, all these kinds of people. When Professor Elibute used to tell us, when he was appointed a professor at the University of Lagos in the early 60s, his salary went above that of the Prime Minister of the country. How do university professors at that same College of Medicine of the University of Lagos fare relative to simple things like light? These are the relativities that will tell you whether you are able to turn a productive economy around. Look, two critical things. Check what happened to China. Go back to 78, the speeches that Deng made. Check what Vietnam is doing. Check all these people. Critical starting point is education. If we don't get education right, we're in serious trouble. Healthcare follows. We know that doctors are about to go on strike or are on strike. We know nurses are about to do the same thing. How come an average doctor earns what he or she earns relative to a member of parliament? No member of parliament in any serious country in the world should earn more than a doctor. But we are playing with all of this, so we gather these revenues. We're excited to say, so what do we do with the revenue? We use it to get politicians to act, and we don't get the economy to be productive. Yes.
I'd like to ask you a question, because a lot of our viewers tonight who do not have a deeper understanding and knowledge of how the economy works, but what they feel is the impact of the decision of the policy makers on the economy of their pocket and the food or the quality of food on their table, or whether or not the food is even available. But look, this government says we are on the path to recovery. And I would like to ask you, what are these things that you think they are doing wrong? Because as a people, is our nation, either we like the face of those who are in government.
We need numbers, when, how much, and that kind of thing, so we know whether we are.
There's a ramped up of figures in oil production. We saw inflation going down that trend. Naira dollar FX relation of our economy, the fiscal part of our economy, and a whole lot of those things that this government will list for you as improvement and stability that we are experiencing. And they say, look, it's a tough path, then we start experiencing the benefit. But can you mention to us, Prof, for example, 1, 2, 3 things you think they have done wrongly that have harmed this economy, and what do you think they could have done? Because as much as we know, this nation belongs to all of us. Either we like the face of those who are in power or not. We need to focus on what needs to be done and done better.
And I love the face of everyone, in power or out of power. All I want us to do is have a conversation that will make the country run better. And I give you a few straight examples. Food is the ultimate. When people can't eat, anything can happen. And so how do you ensure that food prices crash completely, not it's lower than last year by so much? How do you ensure that people can eat? Because what I know is that most people cannot eat right now. And I think Senator Dino Melaye, who was speaking to you, said a few things about that kind of stuff. Now, I would get in place a security system that will assure that we can put millions of people to the farm, cultivating that which will produce food, legumes in 90 days and all of that, ensure that they have the protection, that nothing will happen to them, give them incentives to leave their huts and go and plant those legumes, give them support, farm support. The way Vietnam moved people up to the middle lands and suddenly they were a major player in agriculture, it can be done in a very short period of time. Focus resources of the country in trying to boost production, not in sharing money to political office holders. You still don't seem to get the point I'm making about the prioritizing of this country. That most of our resources are going to the most non-productive sectors, the political class, for example. And we need to get the resources that are available to go directly into ramping up food, first of all, and then the value chain from those factor endowments around agriculture. And I give the examples. Every time I talk with you, I come to some of these examples. I will go to Northwest, and I'll take gum arabic, I'll take dates, and I will boost production in the kind of way I've talked about in intervening. And as the production comes, we do processing, the value chain locally. We take the education of people in the northwest of Nigeria, and we know that leather goods are a major light manufacturing possibility. We look at how they can get a greater yield from hides and skin and leather, improve the ecosystem, put champions to work, and look, if the yield does not improve by so much, this is a consequence. And when the yield increases by more than so much, this is an incentive, further incentive for you. And we boost we'll sign agreements. The Chinese have been ready for a long time for deals that will facilitate light manufacturing in Nigeria. Nigeria gets in the way of the agreements. I know that Justin Lin, Professor Lin, who has done a lot of work from his days at the World Bank on this concept I talk about all the time of latent comparative advantage, has been mandated by the government of China to facilitate relationships and growth in this kind of area. But we can't act well and quickly enough and seriously enough to enable that to move forward very quickly. I mean, you talked about oil. Price of oil has gone up. Hey, I've spent the last couple of weeks with oil people just talking about the environment of oil. Nigeria is nowhere near Oman in attracting investment into the oil and gas sector, whereas Nigeria is much more endowed than Oman in hydrocarbons area. But we can't seem to manage the confidence of the investing
Prof, give me a moment.
Or the investing world in oil and gas.
Give me a moment, Prof. I'd like to ask you more questions, but I need to take this break and we'll be right back. I know you are I don't know what your relationship is like with the president now, but I know both of you perhaps are on a first name basis and you are very close friends, and you know the capacity for someone who was a treasurer at Mobile, governor of Lagos State. Are you disappointed? Because in the manner way you assess the economy, you don't seem impressed at all. Are you disappointed in what you see compared to the Bola Tinubu friend that you have?
I think that, it's always easy to bring theater and politics, to the state Nigeria is in is beyond theater. It is a state in which citizens get together and look at how their collective wisdom can make their country better. I think that what is important today is that all of us, friends, not so many friends, and go sit down and say, look, our country is in trouble. We need thought that will make things go forward. And I am happy and willing to sit down with anybody, present friends, former friends, and I always have a friendly relationship with people. I have no quarrel with anybody at all, but we need to talk about what's best for our country. The problem we have is a triumph of politics. There's too much politics that's preventing us from thinking and acting in the interest of the common good of all. Let's tone down politics. Let's talk development. Until we can imbue a political class with a developmental state mindset, we're in serious trouble. And I think that the problem of Nigeria right now is the triumph of politics. We have not chosen to look at people, and people count.
I understand. I have just 60 seconds to close, and I have two questions quickly. One is that what worries you? Do you think that we are on a dangerous path if we do not recoil, or if we do not turn back on the path that we are treading under this government?
I think so, not because they want to be terrible, but because they, again, let politics take over too much. I keep talking Republic, Germany, and what led to Hitler's emergence. It is insensitivity to certain things and not making them happen that plays the community into the hands of people who can be extremists. And suddenly everybody wakes up and finds that, wait a minute, how did we get here? It shouldn't have happened. It couldn't have happened. So you need a certain level of political sagacity to overcome the kinds of trends that we're seeing. Small appointments, breaking the constitution, not retiring when people should retire at an age, and extending people, not extending others. Those things are dangerous for institution building and for the future of any country.
We are totally out of time, Prof. So my second question, I'm afraid, I will ask you, but I don't know if you can answer, is that are you joining the ADC or you are working with the Labour Party?
I am of people, extraordinarily gifted Nigerians who are not in the old guard that is sometimes people feel suspect about, and his friends. I'm going to bring them, and I'm going to bring a new generation of 30-something-year-old bright people who want a new Nigeria, and I'm going to bring all of them together and bring them into ADC and say this or nothing. If you guys want to retreat, retreat, but this is the future of Nigeria. Future of Nigeria.
Professor Pat Utomi, an elder statesman, but who is not tired in the state of the affairs of this country and the political economies. It's always a pleasure talking to Professor Pat Utomi. Thank you.
Anyways, there is nothing much to see on this video, but you listen to Professor Pat Utomi. Everything he said, that's true. You will agree that he's telling the truth. But the only thing you will say to me is, his opposition. That's why he's speaking like that. What do you want him to say? He's from opposition. He doesn't know everything. Everything he's saying is a lie. He's lying. Why? Because you are far from the truth. You are not being truthful to yourself. That's why you will not see truth in what he said. This is a professor of political economist, right? He's been around for a while. Professor, we're talking about Professor Pat. Professor Pat, Professor of Economics. If you know Professor now, well, you might argue with him, but go and listen to all the economists we have in this country, all the political economists, all the economists, all the professors who are not APC explain to you. But anyone from APC explain to you, what do you want? It's same thing. They will continue to give you false hope, lie to you, false information. This is people who will tell you the truth. It's just like if Charles Soludo wants to be truthful to himself, if not that Charles Soludo is in government, he doesn't want to speak bad about the current government president, because now be like say they don't romance and be friend, right? Is somebody like Charles Soludo, you will ask him about the current situation of this government. He will tell you, sit you down, break it down for you, because he's an economist, right? He will break you down. You could remember during his time as a Senate, as a CBN governor between 2005, 2006, 7. Yeah, that one during Obasanjo's time, isn't it? So, if part of Charles Soludo, we want to explain to you, break this Tinubu's government down for you. You will know. But it's all right, believe it or not. Nobody is going to tell you that the country is not good. Nobody is going to tell you you are not secured in your community, in your vicinity, that your life is at risk of those hungry people around you. If you think you have something doing today, now your life is okay. You have fence in your house. You fence your house. You have a car you drive. You can still afford to buy food, any amount. Is when your neighbor who does not have food at home to eat begin to see you or begin to smell you as a suya. That's when you know that there's problem. Tinubu has created problems for us in this country. So there's nothing anybody want to say to me now than the reality on the street. Whenever you goes out on the street, you see a lot of people. You see changes. People are going to different places looking for even remnants to eat. People are looking for trash. Go to the trash looking for scrum remnants to eat, to feed. So it's worse. Nobody needs to believe it or what they are saying, believe it or not. But the current situation, at least you should know. Now, except you can't see, you can't talk. That's the only thing. You don't go out, you don't go to the market. They lock you inside cage at home. There's somebody who goes to the market and buy food and feed you, continue to cook for you and feed you. But if you goes out on a daily basis, you goes to the market, supermarket, one way or the other you do shopping, one way or the other you goes to restaurant, one way or the other you goes to bar, you goes to the club. Then nobody needs to tell you the difference between 2 years ago and now. Nobody is going to tell you that this country is not safe. Nobody is going to tell you. If you tune to your television today, what you see is sign of failure. Is it doom? When you turn it to your TV, is bye people every time, here and there, all those things. So we don't want those things. We are still in the money. Like this, so it's going to increase. 2027. Then, if Tinubu will now take over in 2027, you go and mark it down, because now Tinubu is going to reduce the country to a small little political party, just like he do in Lagos, where he caged Lagos, put Lagos in his palm, that Tinubu now decide who be president or who be governor of Lagos. That's what he's going to do, right? But Nigerians are not going to give him that time, because if he, like I always say, if he continues in 2027, right? If Nigeria fail to do the needful and allow him to continue in 2027, at that time, Tinubu will not have sympathy, will not have mercy on you again, because he's playing the half match or the match. He has nothing to lose again. By that time, he's ready to deal with you for even insulting him. Do you understand the game? This money now, when a lot of criticism, a lot of problems here and there, this is when he's supposed to be fair with Nigerians. He's supposed to do the needful. He's supposed to be your father. He's supposed to be your mother. He's supposed to care for every one of us, because he's seeking for second term. He's supposed to do something that will make you consider him being re-elected. But now it is not so. So if he get hold of that power in 2027, that time, what you are even going to see in Lagos State, in fact, you will be asking yourself questions. What are we seeing in Nigeria or something? That time, you will not even believe it. What you are going to see in Nigeria, 2027. May God keep every one of us alive. Anyways, please share this video. The only thing I continue to say to you is say no to APC in 2027. APC has designed to collapse Nigeria. Say no to them. Secondly, I don't know, no matter the amount of money you think they promise you that is going to last you for the end of the day, you are like, you sabi, okay. Anyways, please share this video and follow for more. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Be your guy, run out for me now. Subscribe.